Yesterday, I met a friend for coffee and he actually mentioned that his dad had mentioned me, and I was like, I don't know your dad. And he's like, yo, he sees your LinkedIn stuff and he sees your posts, and it just got me thinking of like, you never know who's watching your stuff. If I ever had to get in a room with him and I was forced to sell something, it would be so easy. You don't have to sell yourself because social media has done that for you. They're already bought into the narrative.
Thanks, afternoon.
I'm worth $1 billion a day. Just checking our boarding time, so we still got time. But how are you selling your narrative? And what is your uniqueness? What is your USP? And start building that. And for me, it's always been, I'm the Gen Z guy. I want to support the next generation of African entrepreneurs. Now I'm working with corporates, helping them better market and connect to Gen Z, working with their HR team, doing their marketing teams. I really struggle when young people say to me like, oh, I'm so lost. And I say to them, it's just early in the process. Like, there's no rush, there's no right way, there's no better, there's no inferior because you're not doing a CA or you're not becoming a lawyer. I think we've got to really reflect on life a bit more. I journal a lot. I write down my thoughts. I write down, what I want to see better in my life. I think one of my superpowers is just relationships and my ability to I'm not scared of rejection. I mean, the meeting yesterday, we were looking at my first message that I sent him, and the first message I sent him was back in 2021 in April. And I just kept on following up. I wanted to meet this guy called Nick Dreyer, right? He started a company called Veldskoen. It's one of South Africa's best shoe brands. They've got global recognition. And the way I went about that was actually I wrote him an email of how he can better his marketing, and I just sent it to him. And I guessed his email. And so when I did that, I actually got a message from his sister, who's one of the marketing directors on LinkedIn, and she was like, hey Marko, by the way, awesome email, Nick loved it. And then 2 days later, I get a call, and it's Nick Dreyer on the phone. He's like, hey Marko, by the way, I love what you do. Thank you so much for sending the email. Let's meet up sometime. Firstly, I was blown away by the fact that he, the CEO, phoned me and took the time. And that just shows you what happens when you just provide value up front. And I sent him a WhatsApp message and say, hey, I'm coming to Cape Town. I'd love to meet up. 3 messages, 4 messages, no response. Now, obviously, I know he's busy. I sent his assistant an email. She says, email him. But I sent another WhatsApp, and then eventually, yesterday, he actually responded. He's like, hey Marko, let's definitely meet up. Please email. The fear of rejection and then perseverance. How many times did you reach out to that person? Or you say you can't find a job, or you say you can't close a client. How many messages are you sending every week? And most people say, 1 or 2, 3. And if you're sending that on a weekly basis, never mind on a daily basis, you can't expect to get results. Doubling down on efforts and being so consistent and persistent that people just can't ignore you. I think that's just really, really amazing. And now my network, I've just seen the effect of people are starting to talk about my name. There's an effect. And I'm glad that you guys are partnering this journey and process to see that, of how I'm actually building. And that's what I'm wanting to do with this vlog as well, to showcase that more. Obviously, been prepping the whole week. There's going to be some big players there, so I have to make sure my A game's on. I'm feeling good, I'm feeling excited. I love speaking, I love being on stage. This Gen Z thing about how do we integrate Gen Z into the corporate, it's quite a struggle. It's one thing to acknowledge something, it's another thing to actually implement it. And so to ready to force and put pressure into these corporate environments to say, hey guys, you can't do the traditional route, even though it's safe, even though it's what you have to step out. And so I've been very vocal and direct in terms of how I want this event to go, and I'm hoping the feedback is incredible. And I think it will be, because I know young people, I know marketing, I know sales, I know how to build relationships, I know speaking. It's just something I've been born with, and a gift, and I'm excited for people to actually be changed. I said to someone, and he was saying why would we put a gym in the office? There's no point, no one's gonna use it. I'm like, just 1 out of the 45 employees use the gym, it becomes worth it, because that person's life's changed, the way they deal with clients, the way they deal with their family, and so as a group, everyone wins. And so I think that's my message also been for the event, is I just want to impact one young person who goes and implements the Enneagram that we're going to teach them, and just implements the wisdom that in the interview that we do. It's not about thousands of people, it's about one person who actually takes action and does something about it with what they've been given. For me, that's the most important.
Look, why do I feel so blue? Why do I feel so blue? Why do I feel so down? Why do I feel so blue? Why do I feel so blue? Why do I feel so blue? Why do I feel so down? Why do I feel so blue? Why do I feel so blue? I need a meal like you. I need some friends and some jewelry. I'm trying to get like you. Sign me a deal like you.
One thing I've been thinking about a lot is like, there's this thing about, do a lot of studying on like the world's top business owners. So like the Sam Harris's, the top guys who've built companies and raised millions and millions. And I think a lot of them have leveraged this time versus money thing. They've got this equation figured out where it's like, they get to a point where their business is doing really, really well and they've got experience and they've got relationships. And then they borrow a lot of money to elevate that at a quicker rate. So where I'm at the moment with my businesses is like, next 5 years is all about building a foundation in terms of cash flow, in terms of relationships, in terms of structure, in terms of actual business model, in terms of custom base. And once I've got that all sorted and I'm actually got a real business that can sustain itself, then it's just about getting the right high net worth individuals, put 500 to a million each, 10 bar, and then just moving it quickly. And I think that scale part I'm really excited about, but right now I just need to focus on the fundamentals.
I learned the hard way that the worst thing you can do is take money from the wrong people. They're not adding value to the business in the best case scenario. In the worst case scenario, they're actually disrupting the business and making your life hell. That's the danger with VC money is it creates the wrong success metrics. You basically create a delusion in the organization that because you've successfully raised a lot of capital and you've got runway for 3 years that you've succeeded. You don't have product market fit, you don't have revenue, your bottom line is nilch, but you think that you're a genius because you raised a lot of money. That's the danger as well, is to be able to attract the funding that you need without it disrupting your decision making.
I think it's quite hard when you on the other side where you bootstrapping and you're doing everything yourself. It's tough to not want to take that money. If you're young and you've got a lot of money that you at your disposal, I think it's very unique. There's not many 25-year-olds who've got $5 million in an account that they can play with, and whether they should have that money or not is a different question. But I just think it's something about that for me needs to be a part of my journey. So there's got to be a point where to get to the next level, and I've realized this also. I'm gonna build hundreds of businesses. So the first two, like, don't go away equity and giving away some of your business. Like the first two, I just need momentum. I need to drive relationships. I need to actually create flow in my business. I'm not worried about giving away equity. Let me do my first two startups. Let me get known in the industry, build a real business, and then I can worry about equity in my next one. And even if it goes to $1 billion business and I say, oh, you lose out, it's my first business, guys. Simon, please join me on stage. Film about on the goal.
Hey guys.
The spawn guy. So just like going back to birds. I mean, biggest artists get passed by young people with like Marko. I don't find my passions in life. I don't find my career path. Like I've got all these pressures from society and my parents and myself in terms of I don't find the right job and so maybe you can just put back in terms of your career and then you mentioned like you were radiologist at university and under the bands. How did these young people and how did I do myself, like how do I find my career path? How do I find stuff that I love doing? Where do I start? What could those bits of it reach after the thing?
Yeah, that's a massive question.
Yeah, well said. And I think also for what's happening, a lot of the tips of the losing up chat and stuff with you guys, and then got to stand in mind in terms of you're going to go to the UK or you're going to go to study this degree and to masters, and it's actually okay. You don't follow that. I think that's really important because there's so much pressure in society.
Tell your parents I said you must definitely follow that, okay? I'm not that guy.
You quote Simon and Marko. But
he said you mustn't follow that.
So yeah, I think just touching on that one step is, like I was saying to James and a few other people, one of the things that I did that was really, really amazing is to just start getting experience now. Like there's really no perfect time to get a job, to get out there, to work with someone. And so if you're studying second or third year, you just finish even. Go and work for whatever you can, whether it's your parents' company, with your parents' friends, your friends, dad's parents. Like just get experience, get out there, because that's going to start the momentum. That's going to start this process of you finding what you love, the process of finding yourself here. And I think a lot of young people overthink it. They think about this as perfect timing. I need my degree, I need these resources, and they'll never perfect time. And so I think that's really something important. Moving into a big topic.
I've got two questions for you.
There.
Why is your name that upside down? Captain Successful. And how did you figure this out at your age? Does everybody here know how old this dude is?
I think it is 80. I don't know. Maybe.
So I want you to answer the question you just asked me. And I will cross my legs in the other direction.
Which is this one?
Why do you ask me? How did you figure it out? You seem to have well figured out. Name pages aside.
But I think starting with the point of just taking action. I think for me, when I was sitting in St. Students, for those who don't know, it's St. Students at Johannesburg, and I had everything figured out. I was first this trainer at Parkway, then I was doing academics, I was popular, and then one day I woke up and I'm like, nothing matters to me. None of this matters. Like my friends, actually, they're not my real friends. My parents think I'm amazing, and I don't want to do this anymore. And so for me, it was that urgency that allowed me to step out on a hump of the swell, which was actually leaving technical with grade 10 and doing Cambridge. And that stepping away basically lost my friends. Other than would reach out to me, with me, actually never go out as we were with before. So that was a big part. But my advice to people was like, break the fear of judgment. Like if you care about your friends' opinions, it's going to be so hard to do anything that you really want to do. And secondly, it's just like get experiences. Come to things like this. Like I go to this event every single weekend so good, and there's not a single person under 25. And then I'll have a conversation with 25-year-old and they'll say, Marko, I'm leaving Africa because there's no jobs and it's political nightmare and it's economic nightmare, but you're not putting yourself out there. You don't have a LinkedIn profile. You're not sending connection requests. You're not interning at jobs for free. So how can you expect to see anything in your life? And so I really want to put that message, I'm not a motivational speaker, I'm actually a practical speaker. Like, set up a LinkedIn profile, reach out to I say to James, go to Techno Park and wait outside. If you can't find a job, go to Techno Park instead of golf and go and wait outside and say that, hey, I can do admin work. Hey, I'm really good at math. I can tell myself I can't teach books. Like that's gonna get results. That's gonna say to your parents, well, I can handle myself. I can do this. So, do that. Do you have any questions?
That's a much better answer than I got. That's my
The pretty is good enough like an idea for their own business right now. You put up an ad. Any ideas? People with their own ones of their own business. Spoke to some of you, so some of you do have an idea. This is really not going to share, but what would your advice be? Maybe we can have more to about this in terms of if someone's got a lot of you've stayed, one of the deal with things, you want to build a parent's business, which is totally counter. If someone is wanting to start their own small business, like where is your advice? So I'm going to share my favorite failure that's happened to me in business, and maybe you can share yours afterwards. So when I started one of my businesses in high school, I started doing really, really well from something has worked on me, but doing sales, and I was listening to my co-founder who's based in Cape Town. I'm like, yo, we're going to be millionaires before we leave high school, eh? And I was training to prepare. And then actually, what ended up happening is one of our clients left us because they just no longer needed our services. And we had just hired my ex-matrix. So 2 ex-matrix that were like 4 years older than me. They were in university. I phoned them. I'm like, hey guys, we're expanding, we're growing. I need you to come in. They're like, oh, I remember Marko. He was like this little grade 8 that I used to chat to. And so they were so chumped, I was so chumped. And what actually ended up happening is that we owed them 18,000 rand salary. And kept on saying to them, we're going to close the client, but we're going to pay you guys. And we didn't actually end up closing any clients that month. And I got an email from one of the kids' dads and saying, if the money is not sent in 48 hours, we'll be opening a suitcase. And I was like to my co-founder, I started pointing, I was in Cambridge, I ran out of my business class. I was like, he's like, where are you going? Don't worry, I'll tell you where I'm going after this. I quickly got a phone, I phoned my co-founder, I'm like, if we don't pay this money in 48 hours, we're getting sued. And for me, that was such a shock because it just showcases this is how hard it is. One day you're high, and the next you're not. And so cash flow projections and setting making sure that an overhead point of view, that you're not set up in really bad plans. And that sometimes it just happens. But for me, that was a really frightening thing. And I was just thinking about failure. What if you are going to face failure, you're not going to get the job before, you might not get to the university that you wanted, and it's actually okay. Like tomorrow, you're going to wake up and the world's going to be fine.